Hey mamas, I'm Brooke Miller, registered dietitian, certified lactation counselor, and a mama who has helped hundreds of moms feel like themselves again after baby, boost their energy, mood, metabolism, and even milk supply. Inside of the Postpartum Shift podcast, you'll learn how to take care of your health so that you can show up best for the ones you care about most. Each week, we'll tackle topics like nutrition, exercise, breastfeeding, mental health, and so much more. Plus, you'll get access to guest experts who will share ways to make your pregnancy and postpartum experience easier. Whether you're approaching the postpartum period or you're right in the thick of it, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's topic.
Hello, everyone. Yay, we have something so exciting happening today. What is up, Brooke? We are doing a fun, I don't even know, what would you call this? Like a work?
Like a
I don't know.
double dose of Kelly and Brooke.
Oh, I love that. Yay. Okay, cool, guys. So what we are doing today, instead of interviewing each other, we are good friends. We both have a lot to say, and we have both helped thousands of women all over the world with what we're going to talk about. So we just decided, hey, let's do this thing once. Let's give everyone, the both of us, double the love and just talk about moms and overeating and mom life and the struggles and some tips to get through it. So Brooke,
Yeah.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you? You guys, Kelly and I were like instant best friends. I just feel like you're the, how you meet those people in your life and you're like, I just love this person and they understand me and we are on the same page. Like it is hilarious because Kelly and I are like in so many different ways. And we always joke that we're twinsies because just personality wise background, we're like, oh, I did that too in college. I did that too in high school. Like we just have so much in common, but we actually met, gosh, how long has it been now? 2 years?
What, like 2 years, and our children, we were both pregnant at the same time. I think Brooke was
Yes.
happy. I was miserable because I was like 30. I think we were like 38 weeks pregnant. We were right
We
at
were very pregnant with our second kids and they were born the same week, which is
and
so cool.
and we both weren't finding out the gender. So that made it like a little extra exciting because I feel like people just don't do that anymore. How else
Yes.
are we like, Brooke? We are both sports obsessed. I feel like we both
Yes.
should have been boys.
I
Like
know. We talk about football all the time. Like
literally. We like
Sundays.
argue about football.
Yes, we do argue about it. But you know what? I am dedicated. My husband and I are like, we are going to fly to New York and we're going to watch the Jets play the Packers and it's going to be amazing. Like we are going to buy tickets and do it.
And I don't think it's for a year and a half, but I feel like we already
I
have
don't
it
care.
on because it's okay. It's so fun. Yay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, so excited we're doing this. This is going to be so fun. But yeah, just to give everyone a little intro for those who I haven't met yet, my name is Kelly Lyons. I am a food freedom and eating psychology coach. And what I do is I specialize in helping women all around the world stop binge eating, stop overeating, so they can finally feel in control around food. And I feel like that's where Brooke and I kind of like, besides our football obsession and friendship, I feel like that's kind of where we intertwine because there are so many women out there who have this struggle for so many different reasons. And the way I
Mhm.
help women is through my membership, Food Freedom Society, where we work on addressing the root cause of our food issues and rewiring our brains so we can make these changes permanent and just like our new normal. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and I'm Brooke Miller. If you don't know me, I am a dietitian and lactation counselor, and I really specialize in postpartum nutrition and breastfeeding to help moms boost energy, mood, metabolism, and milk supply postpartum. So they have a great experience and also so they feel like themselves again postpartum. That's something that a lot of moms struggle with is just feeling good mentally and physically, and also getting to a healthy weight, your happiest and healthiest weight postpartum without counting calories, without restriction. And I am the host of the Postpartum Shift podcast and the Postpartum Shift program. So, yeah, we have a lot of overlap in what we do actually inside of our programs, which is so fun.
Yeah, and I love that you said like just helping moms get back to their healthiest weight and just to like not counting calories, not restriction. I know for me and the people that I work with, that is one of the biggest driving forces that actually cause them to eat more. How do you
Mhm.
feel about like restriction and counting calories and all that crap that like the diet world is telling us that we have to do to get healthy?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's so much research to back up why we shouldn't go on a low calorie diet to begin with. I mean, our metabolism slows down, we lose muscle mass, like our binges and cravings increase, and it messes with our leptin and ghrelin hormones and our hunger and fullness. And so it disrupts our hormones and our metabolism. And when that starts to happen from a biological standpoint, it's just we're setting ourselves up for success. And then when you add the mental stress on top of I'm not allowed to have that. That's a bad food. I can't have it in the house. I can't be trusted. Then when we have that mental stuff on, it just makes everything so much worse. And I know for me, when I was binge eating and overeating, it was in college and it was when I would go all week and I would be good, quote unquote. I would go to my college softball practice. I would exercise up to 4 hours a day. I would drink Slim Fast on my way there. I would eat a really low calorie diet. And then the weekends would come and I would have a 6 pack of beer and I would eat tacos until 4 a.m. And it was just binge city every single weekend. And so for me, it wasn't necessarily that I was binging every day, but for me, it was really this cyclical cycle of every single weekend was binging on alcohol and binging on food pretty much, I mean, my entire college experience. I can say from the time I was 18 until I was, 24 probably, or, until I got a real job and like grew up a little bit,
Yeah.
and got out of that like cycle of going out every single weekend. But for
Mhm.
me, it was like I was setting myself up for failure by restricting all these foods. And then it was finally the weekend. And when you're drunk, you're like, I can eat that. And then, alcohol just adds in a whole
I
nother.
don't know how you did that as a college athlete, like the Slim Fast and the barely eating. I'm like, I don't know how you didn't faint out on the softball field. And I
Yeah.
think for me, one of the biggest things that I struggled with was like the mental restriction. Like I would
Hmm.
wake up so pissed from what I did the night before. I have to eat perfect. I would I wouldn't have a carb. I would either like skip breakfast or just have like straight up egg whites and then wonder why I'm speeding down the highway heading to McDonald's, right? So
Hmm.
there is like that physical thing, that physical restriction, but then the mental restriction is almost, if not worse than the actual physical restriction, because what happens is you're just like a ticking time bomb. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to be good. I can't screw up. I have to be good. I have to be good. And then bam. And like when the bomb goes off, it is never freaking ending with this food
Hmm.
cycle. It's
It is so true. And it's really hard to get out of that cycle. And until you get to a place where you're eating consistently and you've worked through some of those mindset shifts around food, it is really hard to break out of the cycle. So if you're listening to this and thinking, what is wrong with me? Is it possible to get out of the cycle? Like it is absolutely possible to get out of the cycle, but it does take really setting your hormones and your metabolism up for success and your physical body up for success, but also that mental aspect. You have to do both because if you start healing your relationship with food and body mentally, but you're still under eating physically, we're still going to set ourselves up for cravings and binges. And then vice versa, if we, you know, get to this point where we're eating consistently, we're eating enough protein and our blood sugar is balanced, but we still have mental restriction going on. I'm not allowed to eat this. That food is bad. We're still going to set ourselves up for binging and cravings and sugar cravings. And so it really does take both the mental and the physical. I would say pretty equally, but maybe you feel differently, or maybe you feel like the mental is more. I feel like both are so crucial.
Yeah, they're both so crucial. I think starting with the mental first, because then it's like when you're recognizing, okay, food is neutral. I'm only giving it meaning based on what I've been taught. And what I've been taught is not only BS, but like these beliefs that we've been given, they're not even ours. These stories
Mhm.
about, oh, like cookies are bad, or oh, you can't have seconds, if like our parents told us that growing up, or like, oh, if someone told you like your clothes were getting a little too tight, right? These stories and things that we make up in our head, and then they become something that we take with us. We turn that into our own, and then all the food struggles follow. So it's like
Mhm.
if we can focus on the mental aspect first, it's going to make the physical restriction a little less easier, right?
Mhm.
And I think as we help. I mean, you're all moms. I'm a lot of moms that I help. And I'm sure you can say, I mean, I was going to say, I'm sure you can say this. I know you can say this because
Mhm.
we both have young kids and we literally just message each other all day. Like, oh my gosh, my head is going to explode. Like
Like
your walk
literally
from
today.
hell, like your
My walk
walk
from
from
hell.
hell. And I think as a mom, I think one of the biggest things is we are doing everything for everyone else. And we are
Mhm.
pouring ourselves into our family and our partners and our children's, and maybe even like helping our parents and trying to keep up with the social life and working on your career or your business and trying to do all the things that it's like when you finally have a moment to yourself, it's like you're just like, and you're finding the comfort and relaxation and like the bottom of a Ben and Jerry's pint or gallon or
Mhm.
whatever it may be. And I think as moms, it makes it that much harder because we're not putting ourselves first. We're not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, it's a twofold thing. It's like when we're so fixated on everyone else's needs, a lot of times we let our needs fall to the wayside. And then if we are not taking care of our mental health or our physical health, again, we're just setting ourselves up to be stuck in the cycle of overeating. And I think for so many of us moms, I don't know about everybody listening, but my kids go to bed on time, actually. Like bedtime's actually not bad for us. I would say dinner time is not fun, but like once they're in bed, like it's pretty consistent that my husband and I get some alone time and watch TV or, play games or do whatever. And I feel like when moms get that time at night, it's like, oh, I'm getting this peace and quiet. I'm getting me time. And food becomes a habit
Mhm.
that becomes part of that me time for so many moms. And it's not to say that you should never eat after bedtime. In fact, a lot of my breastfeeding and postpartum moms, they are like, 2 months post birth, like a lot of them do need to actually eat a bedtime snack. And it is good for their body because their calorie and protein needs are so high at this point. But I do think that a lot of us start to lean on food as that coping mechanism for that me time. And, we don't have kids on us fighting for that food and we have peace and quiet. And, eating is more pleasant when we don't have kids screaming and whining. And sometimes my husband and I eat dinner alone when they go to bed because we want to have a pleasant meal. But I do think that for a lot of us, food just becomes a habit during this time. And it's not something that we necessarily are hungry for or want or even need.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing with like having me time and finally getting that quiet time, and it's so funny. And I'm praying you guys can't hear this because I just hear like, I'm in, I do the closet podcast. I can hear my son like playing with my husband. I just hear screams and I'm like, okay, this is actually perfect for this episode.
Yeah, for
Just
real.
chaos. And I am someone who is, I'm a Virgo. I am very type A. I get overstimulated easily. So I'm like, okay, let's have kids less than 2.5 years apart from each other. But it's, the goal is to have relaxation and me time. That is something that actually makes you feel good before, meaning you're looking forward to it during while you're doing it, but then after, right?
Hmm.
Because when you're eating at night and it becomes that habit, if you're stuck in this cycle, you are going to feel guilty. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel ashamed that you just did that. But then those factors, those emotions are the things that actually drive you to keep eating. So it's almost like you're just perpetuating the cycle by feeling the emotions that these foods cause you to have.
Something I talk about a lot with clients and with students too is how is this decision going to make you feel in 5 minutes from now? How is this decision going to make you feel an hour from now? And how is this decision going to make you feel tomorrow morning? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us, when we turn to food, especially at night, when the kids are in bed, it's like, yeah, short term for the next 5 minutes, I'm probably going to feel better. I'm going to get this dopamine hit and it will, there is something to be said about food being enjoyment. It's an enjoyable experience, but how is your body going to feel 15 minutes after that, an hour after that, the next morning? And what a lot of us find is that, okay, this decision in the very, very short term for the next 3 minutes will make me feel better. But is it solving the boredom? Is it solving the anxiety? Is it solving the stress? Is it solving the feeling or emotion that I want it to solve? And for most of us, the answer is no, it is not doing that. And so I think that's such a good practice to get into is pausing and asking yourself, how's this decision going to make me feel? And sometimes, sometimes I want ice cream at 9 at night, and I know that it's probably not the best decision for my body. And every once in a while, I still say, okay, I'm willing to take that's okay. I'm willing for this consequence to happen. I realize like I might not sleep as well. I realize I might not feel as good in the morning. And every once in a while, it is worth it. But if we're finding ourselves doing this every single night and
Mhm.
we're not paying attention to how our body is responding to it, then that's something that we definitely need to start paying attention
And
to.
I think what you're doing too, that's so is like you're recognizing, okay, this is how it's going to make me feel once in a while, like when it's worth it, you're doing it, but then you're not having like the soundtrack go off, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm a piece of crap, I gotta go to the gym, there's something
Mhm.
wrong with me. You're just like, hey, me and my husband are watching Masters of Air, which is a
Mhm.
great show, by the way, if you haven't started.
I have not.
Oh my gosh, and I'm like really excited. I'm like, ooh, tonight's Friday, new
Woo.
episode. But it's like you're not having that soundtrack. So then not only can you eat it, you enjoy it, you probably eat less because you're not like shame eating, right? And
Mhm.
it's, I think, also too what you talked about with like the anxiety and the boredom and the stress and whatever. When we're eating to like for those reasons, it's not even it's almost like we're just eating because there's an uncomfortable physical feeling that we don't want to feel, because
Mhm.
anxiety is a crappy feeling. Feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed, that is not a good feeling in our body, and yes, in our minds. But if you take out the mind aspect and you just feel what is going on, whether your
Mhm.
chest is heavy, your heart races, maybe your armpits sweat, it really doesn't feel good. And it's like, I don't want to feel this. Let me eat to push it lower and lower and lower. And
Mhm.
yes, that's completely temporary, but it obviously doesn't help the situation. But then you have, again, the emotions behind what you just did. So I think a really good takeaway too from this is like, what is the actual feeling that I am trying to avoid? What is the
Mhm.
actual feeling that I don't want to feel that's causing me to be like, hey, don't look over here. Don't look at the stress. Don't look at the anxiety. Ooh, cupcakes. Like, let's go this
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
And you just take a complete left turn. But then this situation that you're not dealing with just gets bigger and bigger.
If you've been wanting to reach your healthiest weight and feel like yourself again postpartum without having to sacrifice your favorite foods or your milk supply, I've got a free workshop just for you. Inside of this free workshop, you'll discover how to boost energy, mood, metabolism, and even protect your milk supply. You'll learn common mistakes that moms make that actually cause exhaustion, mood swings, low milk supply, and weight loss resistance to become worse, things that moms don't even realize. And you'll learn the proven 3-step method to heal your hormones and metabolism after baby so you can go from surviving to thriving postpartum. Plus, as a free gift, you'll get my postpartum snack guide when you come hang out with us. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes to save your seat today. Spots are limited. See you there. Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Yeah, and I just think this is a really common struggle for moms, especially, with little kids, because it is stressful. We're in this uncertain time, and even something as simple as sleep, if we're not getting good adequate sleep, which is hard when we have little ones, that messes with our hunger and fullness hormones, and we tend to have more cravings. And there's a lot of things going on depending on how old your kiddos are, but there's a lot of factors that do kind of set us up to have a more difficult time
Yeah.
during this time period when it comes to things like binges and cravings. And then we also have to pay attention to how are we responding. So when we do have a binge or a craving, for me, if I want a piece of chocolate, I eat a piece of chocolate now and I move on with my day, and there's no feelings, there's no emotion, there's no guilt, there's no shame with it. But there was definitely a time in my life where it was like, okay, I had that. Now tomorrow I have to eat a salad, and oh my gosh, I need to step on the scale. And it you can get to this point where there's not guilt and shame associated with food, but that is something to pay attention to. If you're listening to this and you are that person right now where you feel guilt and shame and you are making decisions the next day because of what you had today, that is definitely something that you should really work through, because once you get on the other side, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I spent so much time of my life being stuck in this cycle, when once you break out of it, it is life changing, truly.
And I think people don't realize too, the way your life elevates when you're not thinking about food all day. And I'm the first to
Mhm.
admit, I freaking love food. And Brooke,
Mhm.
I know you do
Same.
too, because we're the same person, right? We can
Oh yeah.
be a foodie. Me and my husband's favorite thing to do is go out to dinner. Like you can love food. You can look at the menu to be excited for the restaurant that you're going to tonight, right? There is a difference
Mhm.
between that and letting it be the all-consuming thing. And when you start to be the former, where it's like, yes, you love food, but it isn't the most important thing in your life, you have the brain space and the brain power to focus on the things that actually matter, being more
Mhm.
present with your children, you know, pursuing any hobbies or any business or any like relationship where you finally are like, wow, what is actually important to me in my life? Now I can go do that because I'm not worried about how to make up the bag of M&Ms that I just had after lunch.
Yeah. You just have so much more brain power for other really important things in your life because we already, as moms, it's like we already need brain power for so many other things. And then
So
when we're
many
tied
things.
down, when we're tied down in, in food thoughts and guilt and shame and body thoughts, like it is just making our life so much harder in an already really difficult time.
So before we kind of like wrap up here, Brooke, I want to ask you one thing.
Yes.
If somebody is not sleeping well, which with you helping moms that are breastfeeding, that is a common thing. And
Yes.
I will say that is why I couldn't hack it because my mental health took a deep dive. People that breastfeed, oh my goodness, you guys are just, I mean, hey, in my eyes, fed is best. I only lasted 6 weeks with both children.
Don't
Some,
say only. Don't say
oh,
only.
thank you.
Take that out.
Catching
Take
me.
that
Okay.
out.
You know what? I think with my daughter, I did 8, but I think it's because I lost count.
There
I
you go.
don't know. Second kid problems. So with moms that aren't sleeping well, and we know that messes up their hormones. So it's like they're kind of starting the day with taking a couple back steps. What advice would you give to help manage your cravings when you're walking into the day like, okay, I slept like crap. Today's going to be a tough day.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure something I talk a lot about with students is what can you control when it comes to sleep? And whether you're formula feeding or breastfeeding, the studies actually show that the sleep is actually very similar between formula fed
Huh.
and breastfed babies. And so it doesn't really matter if you're doing a mix of both. I would say if you are exclusively pumping, you're probably getting the least amount of sleep out of everybody in this
Oh
group
my gosh.
because I've been there and it is definitely, I would say, more work and more difficult. But, with my second, he wouldn't take a bottle, which was actually kind of a pain in the butt. But, he slept in a bassinet right next to my bed. And so the moment he cried, I would roll over, grab him, nurse him in bed while I was like honestly half asleep. I wouldn't turn on any electronics. Like that is something I will say, like, whether you're formula feeding, bottle feeding, pumping, nursing, like whatever you're doing to feed your baby, I would say in the middle of the night, avoid getting on your phone, avoid turning on the TV, like avoid um any stimulation.
Yeah.
Yes. And so if you want to have like a little nightlight, but I would always, even when I was exclusively pumping with Ashton before his heart surgery, I would just hold him, I would bottle feed him, and I would have my pump on, and my eyes would be shut, and his eyes would be shut. And I would try to keep the room, as dark as possible. The other thing is, we don't have control over how often our babies wake up in the middle of the night, but we have control over when we go to bed. And something that my husband and I were like little grandparents, we love going to bed at 9. We love going to bed at like 9:30.
That's why we're so alike. Yeah.
Yes. And so for
No one
me,
send me text after 9:30. You know, because I never answer them.
yeah, like so
Disappear from the group chat.
if you're going to bed early, consistently, that obviously helps. So, I have a lot of students that they're not even getting ready for bed until almost midnight. And then it's just like, okay, we're setting ourselves up for some issues. So I would say the two things I focus on is preventing stimulation at night so that you can fall back asleep right away when your baby's done feeding. And then number 2, early bedtime. Earlier bedtime, limit the screens right before bedtime. Do what you can to get your bedtime and get your body to a place where you are ready for bed. So,
And I like what you said too, like know what you can control when you do not get good sleep. Like, the next day is
yeah,
going to be great. Like, have snacks that fuel you and make you feel good on hand. Like, make the
a
decisions.
big
Right?
breakfast,
Yes.
big, big, big high protein breakfast.
Love
like
that.
top thing, with some berries, like with some carbs in there, like or a piece of avocado toast, but like high protein breakfast, because that will help. Because if you wake up after a poor night's sleep um and you go for just like Starbucks and you're just drinking just a sugary coffee drink and that is it,
Woo,
you're
baby,
just
you're in
setting
trouble.
yourself up. Like you are just setting yourself up for more failure. So
I love that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yay. Well, Brooke, is there anything else you want to add? I feel like we really talked about like the me time and the importance of taking care of yourself and finding me time in a different way. But is there anything else like you want to add or anything?
I mean, I think just, don't feel bad if you are stuck in this cycle, because we have both been there for a very long time, and it's okay to ask for help, if you were stuck in the cycle, and getting help and support. It will just make your life a lot easier. And, for me, it was really helpful to talk to other people going through it so that I knew I wasn't alone.
I
And I think that's really powerful for moms to not feel alone, because it can feel very isolating in motherhood to feel like we're struggling with anything, whether it's our health, our nutrition, cravings, just parenting. I mean, I feel like parenting has been so difficult, so much harder than I anticipated. And so just being able to vent to Kelly this morning and say, I had the walk from hell, and my my kid threw his shoe and I had to walk around the whole lake and he screamed the entire time and every person stared at us. Like, we've been that family, And so just having like friends that you can reach out to and vent to about how hard it is sometimes,
I think,
Um,
oh, sorry to cut you off.
oh no, that was it.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing too is it is what you said. It is so isolating, like with the eating struggles and motherhood. A lot of people don't get it. And I remember talking to my parents back in the day when I really, really struggled. And like with all the love in the world, it was like, well, just stop eating. I'm like, thanks, Dad. Got it.
Not great advice. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so
Tried
much.
that.
Wait, and can I just tell you though, like the moms there is a special community in moms. I was at the park with my son today, and it was us, another young boy who was a little older than my son, and another mom. And my son was like kind of losing his mind, and we were on the way out. And then an hour later, we're going to the store, and I'm like, oh my God, where's my wallet? And I'm like, don't worry, it's somewhere. I looked in all the places it could be, wasn't there. And I'm like, okay, don't want to tell my husband, just got a new credit card, no idea where it is. I like started freaking out. Go on Instagram. The mom finds me, DMs me, and says, hey, found your wallet. I just stalked you, dropping it off at the house now.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm like,
amazing.
you are a really special human. Like, just to like go out of your way to be like, hey, who is this person? Where does she live? Let me see if I can find her on Instagram. Like,
That's
crazy.
amazing. Oh,
But,
I
uh,
love people. I love moms. They're
it
just so great.
Well, yay. Okay. So when we wrap this up, let's just let everyone know where they can find us. You guys can find me on Instagram, and I am on the TikToky at Kelly
You
L.
are.
Wellness. And in our show notes, we are going to put all the links for you guys if you want some resources. We both have incredible free trainings to help you guys get started on your journey. But yeah, Kelly L. Wellness. And Brooke, what about you?
You can find me on Instagram over at Nutrition for Mamas.
Yay. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Can we do this more often, please?
Yes. And when I'm not pregnant, can we just have like a glass of wine together?
Yay.
For
Okay, I
once.
didn't want to say, I'm like, do the people know? Yes, everybody. Brooke is,
Yes.
are you 17, 18?
18.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say
Well,
stand up and show us your bump, but it would just be for me. Sorry, everybody.
I will do it.
I love when you're on like multiple kids and the bump just gets bigger so early.
Immediately. At like
Love
6 weeks, I was like, so I
gosh.
look 12 weeks. That's cool.
Surprise.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, you're like, you can't even wait till like the 12-week mark to tell people because
I was
people
like, I have to make an announcement. People are gonna be like, what is happening to her?
Oh my gosh. Well, you are glowing and as beautiful as ever. And oh my, I can't wait to see you. We get to see you in person next month because for
Whoop,
those who
whoop.
don't know, I'm in Jersey. She's in Colorado. So we just text Voxer all
All
day.
day. It's great.
Yeah. All
I
right, guys.
know.
Well, hope you guys liked this episode. So excited for you to tune in. Let us know what you think by sending us a DM on Instagram, and we will see you guys next week.
See you
Yeah.
later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to the Postpartum Shift podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you could share this episode with a mom friend and leave a written review. This helps the podcast reach and help even more moms. Come say hi over on Instagram at Nutrition for Mamas.